Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, my name's Armando.
My name's Jose.
We'll have a good debate.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, well, we're here. We're making a video about the presidential debate. Specifically, we're going to watch some highlights and kind of give our opinions about what happened. We did watch the full debate, right? Obviously.
Yep.
Yeah. And we, are just going to react to it and some of the key moments.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I mean, we have to be.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people.
I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. All right, yeah, you want to...
Oh, yeah. Well, I think a big conversation was also the economy, right? I think that's the leading factor in this presidential run.
Right.
I think the economy, I think her answers when it came to the economy, I think she was trying to, she didn't want to take responsibility. I think she at some point started blaming Trump about Trump left us one of the...
Right.
Yeah.
One of the worst economies, X amount of jobs lost.
Yeah. But I think it doesn't work as an effective tool because one, COVID happened, right?
Right.
And inflation got hit. I think it's difficult for her to separate herself from the current administration and kind of the policies or the lack of policy or the lack of change that positive change has been to the economy.
Right.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts on?
And yeah, I think it's around the same. I think it's obviously a pandemic is, could be once in a lifetime for literally everyone living right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's just hard to. You might say that was probably a better answer too. Sure, probably, but that's kind of like in hindsight.
Yeah.
As you're going through it, where people are China's hiding things, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get the information until it's already out. It's hard to control what happens after with the economy. Obviously, all the restrictions happen and all the closures and things like that.
Yeah. And ultimately, I mean, there was also just different policy being made by different states, right?
Right.
Certain states wanted to close down, open up,
like,
different timings,
Yeah.
had different restrictions, and so on and so forth. I mean, that is probably her weakest point is the economy. I think that's always going to be the problem that she's going to have. Realistically speaking, I don't think she's really made a lot of key policy decisions that I think are going to do anything to help.
Like if she becomes president?
Yeah, well, so far, I don't think she's mentioned anything. The only thing she really mentioned was the tax credit, the child tax credit.
I mean, I think a lot of her things is like trying to give to the people. But the more you give, obviously, the more that's going to affect the people.
Yeah, I mean, she wanted to do price control with groceries about price gouging. I mean, don't get me wrong. Actually, to some degree, I'm fine with at least making like an administration or a department that says, hey, are people price gouging?
Yeah.
I would say grocery stores are probably not price gouging, but I do think health insurance, insurers are probably doing a little bit of that. But there's price gouging, in my opinion. So they're making a little bit on the top. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always going to be that's a big issue, right?
Yeah.
But you can't, in my opinion, you can't just hand out more money and say it's going to fix the problem.
Oh, no, it won't.
So,
no, I mean, obviously it won't.
So I think, I mean, it's my endpoint. I think it's a bigger issue coming on. Like inflation, sure, became a big issue and it's going on, but I feel like the interest rates and all that, it's probably like prior to Trump coming in and him not fixing it, which also is an error on Trump to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you want to be looked at as a terrible president for doing what's probably better for the country?
No,
Or,
it's not politically feasible at the time.
Right, so
that's
a completely different issue. But
yeah. But
okay, all right, we'll move on.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back.
Actually, I'll say something about the rallies. For me, that moment, I'm pretty confident they were asking him questions about immigration. Actually, we can cut that portion. But I feel a part that I actually kind of surprising for me. It's just the reaction he got of all the comments that kind of like that I think Kamala said the whole debate. I think that one was actually the one where he got irritated or annoyed or he got the most reaction to it, which made me. I'm like, okay, of all the things to, that was just a funny moment. Like, well, why? Why did this matter?
It's a prideful man.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like of all rallies. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing to say on that.
In Springfield, They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've
this-
seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good
Yeah.
thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But
television.
the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that.
Eating our dogs.
They're hungry. They're hungry. The Haitians are hungry. I mean, okay. Do you think they're eating dogs? I mean, that's the first question.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think there is like a few cases. I think you really have to dig around to where
Yeah.
like there's actual, evidence of people doing that. And
Yeah.
reports of like.
I mean,
someone
people are
stealing,
saying
like-
they're eating dogs and,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like, yeah.
And people are seeing like there's been a few of like.
There've been police
people-
reports. There's been
Right,
some police
right,
reports, and
people
I've seen
stealing
that.
geese.
Yeah, and the
cetera.
geese. Yeah, the picture and the
Yeah,
geese,
yeah,
and
so-
people. I don't know. I think obviously the evidence isn't shown like fully, but I don't think we need evidence to say there's a conscious thought in that maybe in that town that this is happening,
Right.
and I'm going to take him at face value compared to some city manager that doesn't, or or someone in office
Yeah,
that
a
doesn't.
politician that
yeah,
has
that
a career in it.
Yeah, that doesn't want to make his town look bad,
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely think there's like a bigger problem. I mean, even if it's not real, it does talk about a bigger issue about the tension between native-born Americans and the immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the bigger problem in that community is that 20,000 immigrants are pushed into the local community, and it's very difficult for them to get adjusted to the norm. Higher prices in home, lower access to social services. Just a massive problem.
Yeah, which I think this should have been the bigger issue that he was
Yeah,
tackling.
yeah, yeah.
And this is more of like a meme moment for television.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah.
Like
The
I said, like-
nuanced conversation
Yeah,
that can be
it's-
had about this topic obviously got lost by that highlight. They're eating the dogs. They're
Yeah,
eating the
yeah.
dogs.
Which she should have mentioned more
Yeah,
about like
yeah.
actual immigration
Yeah.
part of it, because like as you said, if you inject fucking
20,000
20,000 into like a small town of 40,000 people,
Yeah, into a local area like
Yeah.
that's always going to have issues.
it's-
But
yeah.
I'm not sure how people take it. Maybe people on the left will take this as like, oh, he's being unhinged.
Oh, that's definitely how it's going.
Yeah, obviously.
definitely it.
But obviously, the people on the right are going to take it as a how do you say this? Oh, okay, he's funny. This is not a big problem. He's just being entertaining, or he's highlighting a real problem. But I think people in the middle, I think it's really it was a tactical victory for Trump because one, the biggest moment in that whole debate was this dog moment.
Right.
Frankly, right about him dogs being eaten, pets being eaten. The pictures and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it focuses the conversation of what's happening in that specific community, Springfield community. And that is happening. There is a problem with immigration. Are the dogs being eaten? I don't know the facts.
Probably
But
possibly.
something's happening. There's tension in that community. And I think that's focusing on a specific issue that she's really weak on, which is immigration. As much as she wants to walk away from the immigration SAR conversation, she was appointed, that's fine. She was appointed to to work on the border.
For 52 years, they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that.
When Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
They have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
Yeah, well, now we get to react about the abortion conversation, which obviously I think we prioritize that issue significantly less than I think because we're not women.
Yeah.
So obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, abortion is a contentious argument and a contentious situation. It is a big issue. I think for women, it's the number one issue in this election.
Yep.
Is abortion and Roe v. Wade and everything that happened. I mean, what are your feelings on like going back to the state? Do you think it was a good decision or?
Like if you believe in the Constitution and whatnot and federal laws, I
Yeah.
think it's technically the best way to give power to the people is
Yeah.
to send something back from the federal government to each individual state to decide upon.
Yeah.
And then obviously again, there's just like regular vote, right? The people of the state vote on whatever law they want,
Yeah.
like specifically whether it be abortion or something else. So I think it was a good decision. I mean, even if you live in a state that's, you know, red and you are, you know, you stand with liberal or you stand with liberal ideals and whatnot, obviously if you can't move states, it's really going to impact you
Yeah.
completely in your lifestyle. I think it's a good decision, but it harms people in a way that they can't get out of it.
Yeah, depending on like their low socioeconomic status, right? I think there's some arguments there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think to some degree this issue will de-escalate with time. I think the only reason it's so fresh right now is because of the whole Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Happened what, less than a year ago, 2 years ago? It's still contentious, but I think with time, I think people are gonna live in states, and the states are gonna go the way they want when
Yeah.
it comes to restrictions to abortion or not restrictions to abortion. I think it was a good decision. I think obviously for Trump, politically, the right, some factions of the right, especially the more religious communities,
Right.
support this type of situation. I mean, we'll see how it plays out when it comes to like Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Wisconsin, because those states are less religious, so those type of issues are a lot more contentious. But I mean, obviously it's a big issue for women, but personally, I just I don't know. I think in the long term, it dissipates.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Kamala said is that she's going to intend to pass the bill, right?
Oh,
to
that's not going to
reestablish-
happen.
I
That
mean,
can't happen.
Yeah,
Not
okay,
gonna happen.
yeah.
I mean, politically, it's politically not feasible with multiple states, red
Yeah,
states
so,
that are
I
just
mean,
going to say no.
Yeah, we're on the same. I mean, even then, do you think it'll even pass through?
Yeah.
Like if it's an actual bill going through Congress, Senate?
Yeah, I mean, but also, I mean, what do you feel about? I mean, do you think Trump would ever sign like a pure abortion ban?
No, he wouldn't.
No.
He wouldn't. As much as they want to paint him as like, oh, he'll do it, they won, whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think it's politically possible.
That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you.
The whole immigration conversation, I think was the weakest point of the debate for Trump. At least the response specifically, like, why did he kill the bill? I think any common sense response would be, I didn't like the bill. But I think him ignoring it was also a problem. But I mean, Kamala still had the problem. Why did they want to sign a bill about immigration almost 3 years after?
Yeah.
So 3.5 years after. So this is not a slam dunk in the way that I perceive it, right? Because there's been an issue with immigration for a long time now. And I don't know, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what I feel.
I mean, I don't have any different opinion on that. He definitely should have just said,
Said something.
yes. It's like, yeah,
I like the
terrible,
bill. Yeah, terrible bill.
yeah.
It's optically the worst, but again, I don't know.
I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
I mean, what do you feel? What do you feel about that comment about Kamala
convictions?
mentioning all the convictions that she had? Well, good job.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think it does much. I think it's pretty known issue already. Like,
Yeah.
if you support Trump, it's because you're with him.
I mean, you think it affects the independents, how they view any of this?
No, I don't think it really affects anything. I mean, most independents either they're going to vote with Trump now that RFK Jr. obviously came to his side,
Yeah.
or they were just not going to vote for him even to begin with. So, I mean, how do you feel about the comments?
I mean, obviously, I have a lot of problems with the litigation of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
From not even from supporting Trump or not supporting Trump. The reason we can't arrest Hillary Clinton, even though she committed crimes and destroyed evidence, is because it would destabilize the society politically, right? I think imprisoning political prisoners or prosecuting political prisoners is a very dangerous place to do because they'll do the same to you. And I think this is a dangerous precedent, but I think we crossed the Rubicon, right? Republicans are going to prosecute Democrats. That's going to happen in the future. And there's a new norm.
What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that.
She hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party.
Obviously, I mean, this is the whole foreign policy. I mean, they mentioned Ukraine and everything too, so I think we should kind of mention that too.
You encompass everything.
Well, I mean, I think from the Israeli perspective, this administration, at least from my opinion, they give the Israelis a blank check to do whatever they want, and they're in a position where I think the Israelis are, well, specifically Netanyahu, is going to push as much as possible, which is dangerous. That's why, like, again, I don't like that, right, personally.
Right.
I think Trump, I mean, is probably very hawkish on Israel too, but obviously, would I think he would want to escalate to a war? Probably not. I think they're trying to make a deal because I don't think he likes foreign conflicts very much, right?
Yeah.
I think so. But I mean, they're both. I mean, like it or not, they both are.
Have to support Israel.
Yeah, they love
So,
Israel. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's a blind spot to these people. They, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's considered our like
An
ally,
important
like
ally,
an
an important ally. So in the region specifically, but.
Yeah, and it's such an unstable region. Too,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so-
yeah. It's a mess. I mean, again, if someone's going to show you or tell you there's a simple solution for the whole Israeli-Palestine conflict,
No.
you're crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I got a bridge to sell you. Okay. Let's just be honest here. But I think they also meant. Well, there's the foreign policy, the
well-
Ukraine aspect. I think the Ukraine policy. Obviously, the Biden administration wants to make a ceasefire, or I think they're talking about making a ceasefire
Right.
with this. But I think everyone just doesn't come to terms. Like the ceasefire is only going to happen if the Russians want it. It's over. Nothing can be done to stop to help the Ukrainians win the war now, realistically speaking, frankly, except sending troops on the ground.
I mean-
which I think both administrations are
against-
allergic to. Yeah, allergic
yeah.
to it. They're never going to do it. And if they do, well, I mean, we're in
World
a-
War III.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
so-
yeah. It's no longer a proxy war. You know?
Yeah. So it's a mess. I don't know. That's pretty much my opinion on it. I mean, there's nothing. There's not much of, at least in the foreign policy decisions. I think.
I mean, I was going to ask you, what do you think about this? You know, Trump's obviously has been saying this for so long. It's like, if I'm elected or president-elect, I'll end the war as soon as I can, or like day one.
I mean, I think his take is going to be, well, we're just going to defund you, and you need to you can negotiate. And I think the reality is, if that happens, the Ukrainians are going to have to sacrifice Eastern Ukraine,
Yeah, okay.
and maybe Odessa and the seaport, and it's going to be a rump state.
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in
No, I
2020?
don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically. You
But
know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly, he is having a very difficult time processing that.
Yeah, I mean, 2020, like if he lost or won.
Yeah,
he
what's my
acknowledges.
thoughts on it,
Yeah.
or like what's my feeling on it?
Yeah, just feelings.
I think they did absolutely nothing to take away the fears of if the election was not stolen or not stolen. I think there's a lot of lawsuits. A lot of lawsuits that happened in Georgia. I think you know about them.
Yeah.
You can probably speak on that specifically. But obviously, from the very beginning, there was issues I had with the election results. I think the only issue I had was the signature verification and the low rates of denial rates. That's the only issue I really had. And obviously, there's some sporadic issues of watchers, poll watchers that were removed from the other side.
Leaving
So
people
there's
out
issues regarding this. And even if you don't agree there was issue, you even agree that nothing happened, Trump lost, which is fine. I think it's a fine take. I'm not saying I'm not saying he won or not. I don't know. But the whole point is things should have been more transparent.
Yeah.
There should have been an investigation to see what happened, just to get just to make everyone believe the elections were real. Because this is not good for a nation. When people are like, does this really happen, not really happen? And there's no real open discussion about the issue, I think it's just a huge amount of problems. And I mean, you mentioned what about happening in Georgia and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's just been like, it's been years later. Sure, there's just been like a few states like Georgia. I think Pennsylvania and Michigan are the other ones that if I remember correctly, where there's like there was some issues with the voting or the voting that took place.
Yeah, and what do you mean specifically? What happened specifically?
Oh, it's just with the legal, I guess, with the legal aspect of it. Like in
Oh.
Georgia, like the main one in Georgia is like the governor apologized, like, oh yeah, there was some found of voter fraud, or some issues relating to it, or there might have been some voter fraud, and they apologized to Trump, about it. And we're talking 3 years later, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the overall, like even if what I'm saying, it's like half true or not true, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the case it is, I think there is just a sentiment throughout the country where, I mean, the country, whether you like it or not, is half
Pretty divided.
Republican, half
Yeah, pretty
Democrat,
divided,
right? And if you don't address, like you said, if you don't address it completely and just kind of like sweep it under the rug,
It builds resentment.
yeah,
it
it's
builds
just
resentment.
builds over. It's not going to be like that's why this election they're trying to do the whole massive, like every state should have some voting laws to where like you have to have ID, you have to show that you are a citizen of the country, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
It's just about integrity. I think that's my
Yeah.
whole issue. It's about democracy, voting. It's not just like some archaic system. It's about a feeling of what people have. If people don't believe in the results, people don't believe in the nation itself, then the system doesn't exist.
yeah.
And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my thoughts on it. I mean, what do you think won the debate?
I think I would definitely give an edge to Trump.
Yeah, I think.
Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think. Yeah. I mean, I think Trump won. I think the ending points were really important.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always the same thing. Like in a debate, you should always choose to go
At the
last.
end. Yeah.
because
Because
people are
this.
gonna remember.
Yeah. And again, I think Trump finally mentioned at the very end that she's part of this administration. She's currently elected. Why is she not solving this problem?
Yeah.
And her saying that, oh, I'm the vice president, that doesn't change the fact that you're in office right now.
Yeah.
And
Now you can affect the outcomes. Obviously, she's the deciding vote in Senate, right?
yeah,
Or-
but more importantly, she's also Biden's.
yeah.
Yeah,
top
no,
aide.
Biden doesn't do anything. She has plenty of power.
He's at
okay?
the beach, bro.
Yeah, he has the beach chilling. But anyway, it's raining now. Yeah, we need to go back. We need to
So
end
we're
it.
out.